Today I want to share a bread recipe with you that has a story. When I was growing up, my German grandparents always brought food when they came to visit my parents' small farm in Oregon. Home canned tomatoes, sauerkraut, fermented cucumber and watermelon pickles, gallon jars brimming with homemade Cracker Jack, aluminum foil wrapped boxes of fudge, chocolate chip cookies, Rice Krispie treats, everything homemade. They also brought cured German summer sausages wrapped in crisp white butcher paper and a loaf or two of polka dot bread. I think it was actually called crunch bread due to a generous amount of poppy seeds in the dough, but we kids called it polka dot bread. And the recipe I'm sharing today is a recreation, and I might even say an improvement of that memory. Hi, I'm Michelle. Welcome to Chocolate Box Cottage, the sweet spot between old-fashioned skills and modern convenience. I'm here to help you create your slice of country living wherever you live. About the bread. Polka dot bread was a fluffy white bread full of lots and lots of crunchy little poppy seeds. My sister and brother and I loved to drop a slice into the toaster, which made the seeds pop when you bit into your bread. It made the best toast, and it made the best sandwiches. And I'm not a sandwich person. Seriously, the best veggie sandwiches are made with polka dot bread. I wanted a more nutritious version, so I developed this recipe using 1/3 whole grain flour to 2/3 white flour. You'll still have a nice fluffy bread with 1/3 to 1/2 whole grain flour. And you can use whole wheat, you can use spelt or kamut khorasan. Those all work beautifully. I made a batch last week with half spelt and half whole wheat flour, and it was absolutely scrumptious. I've not tried einkorn, so if you do, let me know. Today's recipe is available at my website, chocolateboxcottage.tv, and it is available in both US standard and metric measurements. Today we're using my trusty older Hobart-built KitchenAid mixer. It is a 4.5 quart mixer, so if you have a smaller KitchenAid, this will be perfect for you. There is a caveat. If you own a newer KitchenAid, say under 20 years old, you'll want to check the manufacturer's instructions regarding using whole grain flour in your mixer. The newer KitchenAid Artisan Series mixer you sometimes see me using in videos limits whole grain flour to 6 cups. So you'll need to keep that in mind if you want to bake 100% whole grain bread. The recipe is infinitely adaptable to what you like and have on hand, so have fun with it. Now let's take a look at the ingredients. I'm using a variety of seeds and nuts. Now if you're missing one of these, that's okay. Use what you have in your cupboard and make up the difference with another one. We have 4 tablespoons each of poppy seeds, raw unsalted sunflower kernels, whole millet seeds, chopped walnuts, and flax seeds. We have 2 cups of freshly ground whole wheat flour from my grain mill, 4 cups of all-purpose or bread flour. This is Bob's Red Mill all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of salt, a tablespoon of yeast, an egg, a cup of milk, and a cup of lukewarm water, 4 tablespoons each of olive oil, honey, and molasses, and you will need a spray bottle of clean water. Preheat the oven to 350 Fahrenheit or 175 Celsius. Measure the poppy seeds, sunflower seeds, millet, and walnuts into a baking dish. Not the flax. We'll add those later. Place them in the oven and let them toast until fragrant, about 10 to 12 minutes. Then remove them from the oven and set aside to allow them to cool. Dissolve the yeast in the warm water, stirring with a fork to allow it to dissolve completely. Meanwhile, start adding the liquid ingredients to the mixing bowl. First the egg and the milk, then mix on low speed with the flat paddle beater. Then add the yeast mixture and the fat and sweeteners. Here's a trick to help you measure sticky ingredients. Normally we know it's best to measure liquid ingredients in a liquid measuring cup for accuracy, but this recipe doesn't require precision. So we can simply measure the oil in the 1/4 cup measuring cup first, and then measure the honey and the molasses afterwards, and they won't stick. Then you can start adding the flour. We'll begin with the whole wheat flour. You can add this in rapidly and then start adding the white flour. You'll want to add the white flour more slowly so that you don't end up adding too much. We're adding the white flour gradually. We want to leave the dough a fairly sticky dough because we have all these cooled nuts and seeds that we're going to need to add. I'm going to add the flour in smaller increments now. Okay, the dough has gotten thick enough that I need to switch to the dough hook. So raise the head and scrape the beater clean. Remove the beater and add your nuts and seeds, which should be cooled by now. We're going to add the dough hook, but before we add it to the machine, I am going to spread a little softened butter on the collar of the dough hook, the top and the bottom. This will keep the dough from climbing up the dough hook. Lower the head, lock it, and begin kneading. Those nuts and seeds are getting mixed in gradually. And meanwhile, our dough is developing nice structure to make high-rising loaves. Let's add the flax. Just sprinkle them in and then let the mixer knead them in. The dough will be thick and sticky at first, but lose much of its stickiness and come together nicely at the end. Now it's time to touch the dough and see how it's progressing. It should feel slightly tacky, but not overly sticky. If it helps, you can compare this to a Post-it note. Touch the tacky side and then touch the dough. It should feel tacky, but it shouldn't stick to your fingers. And our dough feels just right. If you've seen my other bread making videos, which I will add links to in the description box below the video and in the pinned comment, you know that at this point I would normally do the window pane test to check gluten development in the dough. The window pane test does not work well with polka dot bread dough because of the seeds, so we'll rely on the way the dough feels through kneading. It should hold its shape when turned out onto the counter. I've oiled a section of my work surface and we're going to turn the dough out and see how it feels. If it holds its shape when it slides out, we know that it's done kneading. If it just slides out and forms a puddle, then you know it needs a little more kneading. Now we're going to do a few turns of hand kneading to smooth the dough out. And you can see the way the seeds are just nicely distributed through the dough. Just maybe 6, 8, 10 turns of hand kneading is all it takes. And of course you can make this bread entirely by hand with a bowl and a spoon also. I should add that. So take a look at the dough. It's nice and smooth. It feels bouncy and resilient. It holds its shape. We have a nicely kneaded ball of dough. This is the time to wash your mixing bowl and grease it generously with soft butter. If you happen to have 2 bowls, you can just put your first bowl to soak in the sink in some warm soapy water and grease the second bowl. Okay, looks like that's pretty well covered. Now we'll place the dough smooth side up in the bowl, and you can cover it with either a plate or plastic wrap, or if you have a 6.5 quart Cambro container, the lids from those work perfectly for lids on the 4.5 quart bowl. And then set this aside to rise for an hour to an hour and a half. You can also at this time refrigerate the dough and bake it the next day. If you want to do that, instead of using a lid, you'll want to put a plastic bag over the top so that it has some room to expand, and then cover it with a clean, lint-free towel before you place it in the fridge. While the dough is rising, generously grease 2 9x5" or 3 8.5x4" loaf pans. We like to have generous slices for sandwiches, so I use the 9x5 size. The amount of time that your bread dough needs to rise depends on the temperature of your home. If your home tends towards the cool side, it's going to take a little longer. If your home is warmer, then a little shorter. Somewhere between an hour to an hour and a half is generally good for your polka dot bread dough. This dough does look like it has doubled, but to check if your dough has risen enough, you can do the poke test. Take 2 fingers and gently press them into the dough, and then quickly let go. If the indentations remain, you know your dough is ready to shape. If the holes quickly close in, then your dough needs a little bit more time to rise. Give it 15 minutes, cover it up, and then come back and check again. If the dough feels soft and flabby, if it sighs and collapses, that means you let it rise too long. You can still bake your bread. Go ahead and bake your bread, but next time you bake, make a note to give it a shorter rise. I'm going to turn it out onto my lightly oiled surface here. And instead of punching it down, I'm going to gently flatten it with my palms. Now the smooth side of the dough that was on top in the bowl is now touching the table. You always want to keep track of where that smooth side of the dough is so that you can have a smooth top crust on your bread. Okay, it's time to divide it in half or into 3 pieces, depending on the size of your loaf pans. And you can just use a dough scraper like what I'm doing, or a bench knife or a chef's knife. And you can weigh the dough for even-sized loaves, or you can eyeball it and hope for the best. Starting with 1 piece of dough, flatten it into a rectangle. Then fold in thirds like a letter, and pat it out again. And you can use your pan for a guide. You want it to be your dough to be not quite as wide as your pan so that it will fit properly. Then roll it up like a cinnamon roll and position that seam on the bottom and tuck the inside in nice and neat and tighten it up there, and then it's ready for a pan. Shape the second piece of dough as you did the first piece, then cover them up with a clean lint-free dish towel and let them rise until they are just curving over the tops of the pans. It will take a little less time for the second rise than it did for the first rise. Well, our loaves have risen beautifully. Look at that. I can tell they're ready to bake, but if you're unsure, you can do the touch test. Simply take a finger and gently touch the loaf. And if the fingerprint remains just as a slight indentation, then that means your loaves are ready to bake. And ours are ready to bake. I just misted them with a spray bottle of clean water, and I'm gonna put them in my preheated oven, which is set for 375 Fahrenheit or 190 Celsius. I'll see you in a little while. And they look done to me. Ovens vary in how they bake, so rather than focusing on the amount of time that it takes, look for these cues. It should have a nice deeply golden brown crust, and then flip it out of the pan and look at the bottom crust. See how that's nice and browned all the way around also? That's good. And if you like, you can use a digital food thermometer. I love this Thermopop by ThermoWorks, and you can check the temperature. Enriched breads like this should register between 180 to 190 interior temp when they're done. And it's a good idea to look at both loaves. They're both well baked. We're going to get these over on a rack. I think the bread has cooled long enough. The house smells wonderful. Homemade bread is the best air freshener. Let's slice into a loaf and see how it looks. It's cutting nicely. And I can see it has a nice even crumb. Take a look at that. It's soft, it's pillowy. Look at all those lovely polka dots from all the nuts and seeds. That's going to add so much flavor and deliciousness to our bread. Polka dot bread makes excellent toast. You can add jam if you like, but butter really is enough. And it is wonderful for sandwiches. The best sandwiches are made with polka dot bread. Whether it's a BLT or peanut butter and jelly, it's going to taste better on polka dot bread. Take a fried egg, add sliced tomato and lettuce, put it between 2 slices of toasted polka dot bread, slathered with mayonnaise, and you've got the best fried egg sandwich of your life. It's one of those things that you can make at home that you'll never find in a restaurant. But my favorite is a veggie sandwich, so let me show you how I make one. Start with a slice of your homemade bread and slather on the mayo. This is homemade mayonnaise, and Mary over at Mary's Nest has a wonderful tutorial for making homemade mayonnaise that will spoil you. Once you try it, you won't want to eat store-bought mayo anymore. I'll put the link to that video in the description box and in the pinned comment below. Next, we can just add whatever your favorite veggies are. I've got some beautiful radishes from the garden, so let's add some of those. Some sliced tomato. Have some lentil sprouts, add some of those, and then I have these lovely salad shoots that I grow in my indoor salad garden, and I have a video on how to grow those. I'll be sure to add a link to that in the comment below as well. And before we add the cheese, let's add some condiments for extra flavor. This is some golden sauerkraut, and it's a wonderful way to add some probiotics to your sandwich. I have a video for how to make golden sauerkraut, and I will add that to the description box as well. Just a little bit for flavor. Some Italian salad dressing. And if this sounds crazy to you, don't mind me. You can make your sandwich however you like. A little fresh cracked pepper for just a little bit of a bite. And now let's add the cheese. Top it all with another slice of bread, or just with a nice large leaf. I've got some fresh chard here from the garden, and you've got the best veggie sandwich you've ever had in your life. Do you know what the best accompaniment is to a sandwich like this? Kombucha. And not just any kombucha, but kombucha that you've made at home. If you've ever bought these high-priced fizzy tea beverages at the store and wondered if it was possible to make it at home and save money, it is. I'll put a link below to a class so that you can learn how to make your own kombucha. Polka dot bread also makes excellent French toast, so delicious with apple butter and peanut butter on top, or syrup, however you like it. You're going to find endless uses for enjoying your polka dot bread. Thank you for joining me today in the kitchen at Chocolate Box Cottage. It's been a lot of fun. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.